Um, Hi everyone, my name is Stas, and I think a lot, and that's why I want to talk with you today about how my year in the U.S. redefined the concept of doing the right thing. I mean, everyone's heard the sayings like, "If you don't know what to do, just do the right thing," and it seems like very American proverb. So I relied onto it, but I think that way that we define the right thing and that our definition itself is what affects our future career choices, our future choices of in our personal lives, and that's why I wanna talk about it. So, being a child raised in the post-USSR education system, I believe that there is always the right answer to each questions. Like, there is a right answer to the math problem, and by right I meant something that is traditional in our cultural system, like respect elder, be friends with good guys, don't be friends with bad guys, study hard, and then you'll succeed. And then I went to the US, the land of freedom and diversity. At first, it was really easy for me. I had amazing traditional host family. They were temporary host family, but I was happy. Like I really learned about them really fast. And I went to this amazing school. It was really nearby my home, so I was having fun. But whenever we don't learn our lessons the easy way, I'm pretty sure that the life will prepare some really special treats for us. And that's what happened to me, because 2 months after I arrived, there was a permanent host family for me. And this host family was something that I would call now really counter-traditional Ukrainian family, because my host dad, he quit alcohol like 2 years before I arrived, and he was in AA club, Alcoholic Anonymous. He never graduated from university, and he was staying looking after the kids while my host mom, she was working for the bank. And both of them, they've been riding bikes, like bikers. So that's something that is with my traditional Ukrainian value set. I mean, it was really challenging to me. And Charles, by the way, the host dad's name is Charles. He had really sarcastic type of humor, type of sense of humor. So, we were picking on each other. And he was, becoming really like constant and authentic challenger to my self-perception as being tolerant. So I had this choice, either to keep on thinking the way I used to, with my Ukrainian traditional values, or try to understand Charles and really, and by trying to understand him, I mean understand his values and walk in his shoes, basically look on life from his perspective. And to tell you it was hard, I mean, it was really hard, because I mean, I'm pretty tough in the character, so sometimes we collide like two rocks like this. Not literally, but when we're having conversations and quarrels sometimes. But that very choice that I've made and that Charles made in order to understand each other, it unveiled great lessons to me. And right until now, I think Charles is one of the greatest teachers of my life, because he taught me he taught me what the real community service is, how to, the feelings that he had towards community service. He taught me maybe the lesson of the civic consciousness. I will tell you later about this example that I have until now. But the foremost, he taught me about what it is really to be tolerant, and that being tolerant and trying to understand a person who is very different from you is way more rewarding than being right or being seemingly right. So I'm going to tell you about this another lesson that he taught me about being helpful to the community is better than being seemingly right. So, in Flex, we all do the volunteer activity. So I once approached Charles and said, "Hey, Charles, could you please help me find this great opportunity, because I've never volunteered in my life and I'm so excited to do it. Please help me find something, something cool to do." And then, he returns the same evening and he says, "Well, Stas, you know what? I found this amazing opportunity." I say, "Hey, Charles, is it like bake sale?" He says, "No." I'm like, "Is it planting trees?" He says, "No, wait for it." I'm like, "I don't know, is it feeding homeless?" And he says, "No." Well, Charles, you know what? Lay it on me, what's that? And he says, "You know what? We gotta go to the cemetery and paint the boards so that no one falls into graves." To tell you I was shocked is like telling nothing, So I look at him and say, "You know what, Charles? It's exciting, but maybe could we think of doing something cool?" And he looks back at me and he says, "You know what, Stas? Are you trying to look cool, or are you trying to help people?" I said, he's straight to the point guy. So, and it really got me, because my perception, my willingness to be cool, to look cool, to tell friends, how cool activities I have done, it really undermined the whole value of service. In a sense, it's kind of undermined the whole spirit of volunteering. And that's a great lesson I really have until now, that it's better to do helpful things, it's better to do beneficial for the community things than things that are seemingly right. Another lesson, I would say the last lesson I'm going to talk about today, it's probably the most difficult lesson, because it changed my perception of, right, of the every culture. So it was, regular evening, like 5 p.m., we were having a bite, and Charles looked out of the window and say, "Hey, Stas, look, there is a truck pulling down to one of the construction sites nearby." I look, okay. And he says, "Hey, Stas, why on the earth would construction workers arrive at Friday, 5 p.m. to work?" I don't know. He says, "Well, I'll call 911. So he calls 911, and police arrives in 20 minutes. And really, those were not construction workers. They were thieves. And people got arrested, so everything's fine." So, I mean, no one got, no one got burglared or so. And that evening, I was thinking, I have parents who like engineers, who might be more, I would say, socially, maybe not socially respected, but I would, because more traditional Ukrainian family. So would myself, or would my family, or would my friends, first of all, if we saw these things, would we think that someone might be, burglared? Secondly, even if we thought, would we have called the police? If we called the police back in 2004, would the police have arrived, and when? And what would the police tell us? So the answer to those questions is no. I mean, we would not, to any of them, except for what would police have said to us, but you probably know that. And it really, undermined my perception of the Ukrainian, maybe not even the Ukrainian culture, but of the common culture. Because that's the thing that probably most Ukrainians would do or not do. And then I thought, but it's, typical thing. It's maybe not the right thing, but the common thing. So in a sense, it's the right thing. And then I thought, well, what is right? Does any society, does any culture have all the right answers? Not even Ukrainian, not Ukrainian or US or any other culture. And The answer is, again, no. And then I think of, people who, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, who did the things that were not common for that culture, but they did something that they believed in, and that's probably the answer that I got for me. It's not the right thing or the common thing that you do. It's that something that you internally believe is right. Not that someone thinks or says, but something that you believe that is deeply true. And that's why I urge everyone to have their own value compass. Because sometimes it takes guts to do something. Maybe the most difficult part, it's not about, like someone laughing. It's about, as Vasil said, it's the fear of failure. But only by listening to that deep internal voice, to the heart, can we really do great things, or even maybe not even do the great things, but at least make this world a little bit better, a little bit happier, a little bit peaceful place. And to finish my speech, I really like this saying. It's from Shakespeare, which reads, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and this must follow as the night the day, though canst not that be false to any man." I'll say it in Russian because Shakespeare, I don't understand it in English either. Но главное, будь верен сам себе. Тогда как вслед за днем бывает ночь, ты не изменишь и другим. Thank you.